Well, folks, he's back. And as predictable as a Trump Tower gold toilet, things have taken a turn for the worse on the border. That's right, since Trump took office again in January 2025, he's been busy undoing everything Biden tried to do on immigration. Remember how Biden was all about making things a little more humane, a little more orderly? Yeah, scratch that. Trump's back to his old tricks, and for migrants that means more chaos, more danger, and a lot less hope. The first thing to go was the CBP-1 app. This was a lifeline for folks trying to schedule appointments at the border. Now, gone. Trump also decided that Remain in Mexico was a smashing success. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. So that's back too. And if you were one of the hundreds of thousands who got humanitarian parole under Biden, tough luck. Trump's ended those programs too. It's almost like he's trying to make things as difficult and as cruel as possible. And you know what? He's just getting started. Let's talk about the CBP-1 app for a second. This wasn't some kind of freebie for freeloaders, as Trump likes to say. This was a way to bring some order to the chaos at the border. People could schedule appointments, show up, and get processed. Over 936,500 appointments were scheduled through the app while it was active. But Trump, he shut it down, just like that. And now, over 1.4 million people who might have used the app are left in limbo. Then there's the Remain in Mexico policy. This is just plain cruel. It forces asylum seekers to wait in dangerous Mexican border towns while their cases are processed in the US, which can take years. This puts them at risk of violence, kidnapping, and exploitation. And let's not forget about humanitarian parole. These programs were a lifeline for people fleeing violence and persecution in countries like Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Over 531,690 people were granted parole under Biden. But Trump, he doesn't care. He slammed the door shut, leaving countless people stranded and desperate. Trump's not just about closing doors, though. He's also about ramping up deportations. We're talking about mass deportations, folks. He's created these things called Homeland Security Task Forces, which sound like something out of a dystopian movie. These task forces are basically deportation squads. They're rounding up undocumented immigrants and shipping them back to wherever they came from, often without due process. And as if that wasn't enough, Trump's also sent in the troops. That's right, 1,500 active-duty military personnel are now patrolling the border. They're helping to build his precious wall, of course, but they're also involved in deportations. We've got soldiers putting people on planes and shipping them out of the country. It's a militarized solution to a humanitarian problem, and it's a recipe for disaster. Trump's hardline stance on immigration isn't just causing problems here at home, though. It's also creating international incidents. Take Colombia, for example. Colombia was initially refusing to accept deportation flights from the US, and for good reason. They were concerned about the inhumane treatment of deportees, and frankly, who can blame them? But Trump, being Trump, responded with his usual brand of diplomacy threats. He threatened to slap tariffs on Colombian goods, and since Colombia relies heavily on trade with the US, they were forced to back down. So now, Colombia is accepting deportation flights again, but the damage is done. Trump's shown the world that he's willing to bully other countries into doing his bidding, and that he doesn't give a damn about human rights.